You're a beginner who wants to start making beats. You have a fighting spirit to rush into the game and turn it upside down. But here is bad luck. You don't know which sequencer to choose. And in this video you will learn about the pros and cons of two programs. So subscribe to the channel and let's get started. Let's start with the interface, because in both programs it is very different. When I first saw FL Studio, I was very impressed. This top panel with a bunch of buttons like a spaceship, some windows that are incomprehensible, and actually on this my first acquaintance with FL ended. As for the Ableton, its interface seemed to me very simple. I watched several tutorials and after a couple of days I was able to write a simple beat. As for the atmosphere of the program, I think no one will argue with me that Ableton is dumb in itself. It's grey, it doesn't have all these flashing gizmos. In terms of beauty he loses. The next item on the list is writing of the beat. In FL Studio everything is done at the highest level. You have a pattern when you can put all your instruments. Immediately switch to the piano roll and write notes. The piano roll itself deserves special attention, because it's the coolest and the most qualitatively made piano roll in the world. Just believe a word. For Ableton, things are a little more complicated. If when choosing an instrument in FL you just go to the piano roll, then in Ableton you first have to select the area in which you'll write the beat. And then you can already go on to the writing itself. But even here it is not so simple. If you want to write notes, then you have to click 2 times to put the note in or out, or you can take a pen that you will switch very often to highlight notes. In addition, in the Ableton, to highlight the notes, you'll have to exit the piano roll, hold down Ctrl, select the track that will be highlighted, go back to the piano roll and press focus. In FL Studio this function is built automatically, so it will be easier to write the idea of the beat in FL Studio. Working with samples and loops. If you want to throw a loop into Ableton, then it will immediately set the desired BPM. In FL Studio you'll have to recognize the BPM manually. In addition, you can go to the step in the bottom and see that your loop is exactly in the layout of the notes. Ableton itself determines where the beginning of each note is played, and you can simply adjust so that all the notes sit well in the grid. In addition, you can turn your loop into notes. There are even different modes. Harmony is often used to convert loop into melody, and melody mode is used to learn root notes, with which you can match bass to tone. There is no such thing in the FL Studio. Well, at least I didn't distinguish it so that everything was simple there. As for the samplers, both are good enough in both programs. I don't see any point in drawing an analogy, because most of them use them so that the kick hits well and bass sounded in tune. The next option is mixing and automation, and here my opinion will be more subjective. In the FL Studio you have to switch to the mixer in order to cut or add something, while in the Ableton you simply take and throw the processing plugin onto the track that needs to be processed, and that's it. I think everyone also knows Ableton for good automation. Here you just select the parameter and press the automatic clip, and then you are already adjusting the strip. Press on it, the strip disappears and doesn't interfere with the further writing of the beat. In FL Studio you click on the scene, choose some kind of twist and click the automation clip. And now you have such a track, and you cannot hide these tracks anywhere. 3 or 4 such automatizations and the project becomes very inconvenient. Everything in a bunch and it is confusing. Plugins. FL Studio has a lot of plugins, which can be very useful. Ableton has only plugins for audio processing, and other standard plugins like pianos or violins are very poor, so you need to download different VSTs if you want to write beats. And the last point is optimization, and here the Ableton has an advantage. If it crashes, then your project will be saved automatically, and you can resume it when you enter the program from the last place you were. If the FL Studio crashes, then it's already as lucky. In addition, the FL can use only the 50% of your computer's power and no more than 1 core, while Ableton can use the full power of your computer. Let's summarize. If you need a program in which you can chill while writing the beat, but at the same time it can work incorrectly, where a lot of stupidly implemented functions such as automation or grouping, then this program is for you. If you need a program that will work correctly, but where the interface is a little dumb and the notes need to be written longer, but at the same time automation working with loops and mixing is convenient, then Ableton is for you. Personally, I adhere to the opinion that it's worth downloading the two programs and see which you like better. I like Ableton more. It seemed to me that it is easier to work in it and there are no special troubles as well as shown off in it. Each program has its own buyer. This for some will like more one, some will likes more another. Just try the programs and look where it's more convenient for you. It's my opinion. And if this video was interesting or useful, if you find out for yourself something new or have decided on what program do you want to work, then subscribe to the channel, click on the like, and 80 was with you, and stay tuned.